We have some major news right now. The White House is refusing to say whether or not Donald Trump has received the Epstein files bill, as Donald Trump is now slow walking, signing a bill that passed the House of Representatives 427 to 1 and then passed the Senate unanimously into law. And I need your help to make sure everyone knows this. So, like, comment, share, and subscribe to spread this everywhere. So, the bill has been sent from the United States Senate to the White House. But at this hour, the White House is not saying whether or not Donald Trump has signed the bill. It's also not saying whether or not Donald Trump has received the bill. And while it's clear that this White House is slow walking, signing a bill that passed nearly unanimously in both chambers of Congress. Remember, when the government shutdown bill passed earlier this month, Donald Trump signed it in a matter of hours after it passed to reopen the federal government. He could easily sign this bill immediately if he wanted to. But right now, that is not what's happening. And as a result, the White House is telling the public and telling CNN that essentially they have nothing left to add at this time, and that Donald Trump, they're not going to say whether or not he has received the bill. But here's the thing. If Donald Trump refuses to sign this bill into law, he has a couple options. The first is a veto. But he's not going to do that, right? Because you have a veto-proof majority in the House and in the Senate. Needed 290 votes in the House, needed 67 votes in the Senate. Got both of those, veto-proof majority, both can override his veto. What he can do, and what is not likely but possible, it's called a pocket veto. A pocket veto happens when a president essentially just lets a bill die. So, Government 101. A president has 10 legislative days to sign a bill into law after it is passed by both the House and the Senate. If on that 10th day, the president chooses not to sign the bill and instead just lets the bill kind of die and Congress is not in session, the bill just ends. That's what's called a pocket veto. And a pocket veto cannot be overridden by the House or the Senate. And as a result, the bill will have to be repassed by both chambers of Congress. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here. And Donald Trump and the White House have both said that he intends on signing this legislation. But he has not signed it one day after it has passed both this House and the Senate. And while Thomas Massie, the Republican leading the charge to get this bill across the finish line, threatened to release all the Epstein client list names on the House floor if Trump would not sign.
Pretty quick. Now, Manu appears to be talking to Thomas Massie, so maybe we'll just listen in to this for a second.
Right, not just to do a discharge petition and get it passed through the House, but to get the Senate to pass it and get the White House to sign it. We're not there yet, but when we get there, this is not a subpoena. This is a law.
And so you are confident that these documents will ultimately come out, even if the president tries to fight this?
Yes, I'm confident. And that we sort of, we know when they're out because we know what some of these lists, who some of the men are. I don't have the names in my head right now. The ultimate thing that we could do is read the names on the floor of the House, and that could happen. But what needs to happen is the FBI needs to release these names.
Is that DOJ. Something you might do if he resists this, if the DOJ releases this? Could you go to the floor and read these names?
We absolutely would do that. Marjorie would do that. I would do that. There are Democrats who would do that. And but that's not the right path forward. That's the last effort if we hit all of the walls. But so far, we're making it through the walls.
So he's saying that's the last kind of ditch effort. But the White House right now is not offering any timeline of whether or not the bill is at the White House, whether or not Donald Trump intends to sign it today. And senior White House officials told CNN that they have nothing to add right now. But Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna are pressing forward.
How do we make sense of that?
Well, my hat is off to Lauren Boebert for withstanding that tremendous whip effort, and also to Marjorie Taylor Greene and Nancy Mace for staying with Ro and I, keeping their signatures on the document. A lot of my colleagues do have whiplash. You know, the vote was 427 to 1. I went up and shook the guy's hand who was the one. I said, well, at least you didn't flip-flop twice. You know, I respect that. If it's a hoax, it sounds like Pam Bondi has had this information at the same time that the president has still been calling it a hoax or a Democrat hoax. So not only are they changing their tune all the time, they don't seem to be singing from the same hymnal.
Well, that's Thomas Massie saying what many of us have been saying for a long time. On one front, Donald Trump is saying, well, this is a big hoax. This is all a hoax. And then on the other hand, he's saying, well, go and investigate Pam Bondi. Go and investigate powerful Democrats, not Republicans, powerful Democrats like Reid Hoffman, Bill Clinton, Larry Summers. But don't touch Republicans, because this is just a hoax that has targeted Republicans, not a hoax that has targeted Democrats. And yet at the same time, Pam Bondi previously said the investigation was closed. There was no further evidence. But today she said there's some new credible evidence.
The issue with the new information that you just indicated, is the department seeking information perhaps from the Epstein estate, because Mr. Blanche did not have that information when he interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell? What new information, and would you limit the new investigation to just those named persons that the president talked about, or is this a broad, open-ended investigation?
I would refer to the Deputy Attorney General's post that he put out on X, and we're not going to say anything else on that because now it is a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York. But you're on point.
We're not going to say anything else on that because it's now a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York. I told you this would happen. Now they're going to say, well, we're investigating Jeffrey Epstein. And because we're investigating Jeffrey Epstein, we can't legally release files that could compromise an ongoing investigation. And that's where we're at right now. But Thomas Massie is making clear that Mike Johnson, well, he's not going to get away with just letting this die pretty easily.
Over the walls, and we're getting this done.
How much time are you willing to give the president and the administration to release these documents when this becomes law?
No, I've never set a timeline. The victims have waited a very long time to get justice, and it's really up to them.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. I know that we're on with you, Casey, as I walk back to you and with this, because the president was opposed to this.
So Mike Johnson is not off the hook. And even though there is no timeline for when we expect this bill to be signed, the pressure is there. And something Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna have made clear in all of this is that this is a law. You can't just defy a law, no matter how much the Trump administration wants to. And if you defy the law, you could be jailed. Now, at the end of the day, it's Pam Bondi that will be doing the investigation. So I don't know how much that's going to lead to anything. But right now, the White House is slow walking, and I think everyone needs to know. So it's time to put some pressure on Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and those around them. It's time to sign this bill into law. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Spread the word to everyone you know, because I need your help to get the word out. And I'll see you soon for another update.